listeners, to Never Seen It. This is a podcast about movies that we haven't seen yet. It is 2026, and my name is Betsy. I'm here with Trent.
Hey, everybody. Happy New Year.
Thanks for joining me for yet another year of Never Seen It, Trent. I'm excited you haven't given up on the podcast yet.
No, I'm never giving up on this thing.
Excellent. Well, that's good because we are still going strong on watching movies from 2025, specifically ones that we think could be in the pool for movies nominated for Best Picture. We've still got a few weeks before those nominations officially come out, but we've got some that are definitely in the conversation. They got nominated for Golden Globes, and that is one that we are watching today. So the movie today is going to be Sentimental Value, or Sentimental Value? I don't know where the emphasis
Sentimental
goes.
Value. Sentimental Value.
Value. But Trent, this is a movie neither of us has seen, and I think I probably know a little bit more about it than you do, but what do you know about this movie?
So before we started to really look into, okay, what are the movies that are getting the buzz for getting nominated for Oscars? I think on my own, I watched a trailer for this movie, and my understanding is it's Stellan Skarsgård and the relationship that he has with his daughter or daughters. He plays an aging actor that has maybe fallen off. I know this is also partially not in English.
Yeah.
I don't know what other Scandinavian language that they're speaking here.
I think it's Swedish because if memory serves, he is Swedish.
Makes sense to me. But this is less of a, foreign language kind of a movie rather than, hey, it just so happens that these people speak this other language when they're around like kind. But the story itself, I believe, is surrounding the relationship that Stellan has with his family and his standing in this community of actors, maybe?
It's kind of a Hollywood movie, which would make sense why people are like, oh, this is great because it's a movie about us.
That was the vibe that I got, that maybe this is why, if it's getting any kind of Oscar buzz, it's about people who work in Hollywood or at least in acting and filmmaking.
And one of the conversations being had is which international movies are going to get nominated for Best Picture. And right now, there's kind of a thought that it could be up to 3. And this is one of the 3. And I don't know that has ever happened before. I think we had 2 last year or a couple of years ago.
Not in modern times anyway.
No, but it's been going that direction. The winds are blowing more internationally, which is great. I love that because when would we sit down to watch this movie otherwise? The thing that I know is this is directed by, I think it's pronounced Joachim, I'm not exactly sure, Trier. And he made a movie called The Worst Person in the World. And the woman who starred in that is one of the daughters in this, Renata Reinsva.
Okay.
These are people that I'm like, if you're paying attention in the film community, you've heard of the movie, you've maybe heard that name, but I don't really know what that movie is. I've never seen this woman act before. Obviously, you and I know Stellan Skarsgård.
Yeah, and I also know that Elle Fanning is another, she's playing an actress in the movie as well who has a relationship with either the daughters or Stellan or somebody. I don't know.
She's an up-and-coming starlet.
Fine. But really, other than what I just said, the only information I've really gleaned is from the 2 trailers that I've watched so far. But I like Stellan Skarsgård. I think I haven't really seen him really do a dramatic acting thing. It's always been tangentially related to comedy, other than the Dragon Tattoo movie.
Yeah, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is the most dramatic role that we have seen him in.
Yeah, and we've only watched that movie once, surprisingly, because we really liked it.
Twice.
I only remember watching it once.
We saw it in the theater, and then we've watched it at home.
I don't even remember that.
Okay, well, I promise you we have watched it.
It's been forever.
Maybe we should watch that one again soon, but that's not the film today. Today we are watching Sentimental Value, so we're going to go do that, and then we're going to come back and talk about it. We'll be right back. And that was Sentimental Value. Trent, How are you feeling about that one?
I wasn't sold right away. I thought at the beginning I didn't really know where this was going. They're doling out information very, very slowly. And knowing that it was kind of a longer movie, this is over 2 hours long, that I needed to really let it wash over me and allow itself to present itself. And this movie would not be in the conversation for a Best Picture nominee if it didn't have some substance here. So I had to convince myself, okay, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Finally, it came. Wow. Betsy, it's strange to already have a nominee for a movie to make you cry at the end of 2026. But yeah, we already have one. So this is me just saying, hey, future self, put this on your list at the end of the year.
Yeah, I was right there with you, Trent. By the time we get to the scene with her and her sister,
The sister scene.
and then they're talking about their dad in the hospital, and it's just like, oh, no, 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 no. Oh, the tears. He kept saying the whole movie, this isn't about her. This isn't about my mother. It's not relevant. Even though it sure as shit seems like he's written a movie about his mother who killed herself almost exactly the way it played out in real life. So for someone to say, this is about your mother, right? And he's like, no, it's not.
No, but he doesn't elaborate. He
Nope.
doesn't tell the actress, this is actually what it's about. This is based on real life, and this is what I'm writing from. This is my inspiration. None of that actually comes out.
No, the whole point of him writing this was a cathartic exercise. I think, yes, to address that, to confront some of that childhood trauma, but it's also about the fact he wrote it for his daughter. He specifically wrote it with her in mind because he knew that he could say through his art the things that he can't say to her in real life. They say it multiple times. The two of them don't talk. The number of times in the movie these two just stand there quietly, looking at each other, exchanging glances, but never articulating any feelings.
Yeah, it is the very definition of being estranged. And I feel like, just based on the experiences that I have witnessed outside of myself, the older child out of the siblings usually is the most resentful of the parent who leaves.
They bear the brunt of whatever it was.
Whatever it happens to be, they have to then become the other parent if they're the oldest of the bunch. And again, it comes through in the resentment. It comes through in the extra burden that is on you as the older sister, plus having to take care of the house, having to take care of younger siblings,
taking care of mom when she can't take care of herself.
Exactly. Being the other adult, as it were, in the house to try to console everybody else around you, and you can't take care of yourself.
The other thing that really makes it difficult is when you look at these two, you can tell they're kind of the same person. Like they always say, when you grow up, you're going to wake up one day and you're going to be one of your parents.
Yeah.
And you just don't know which one it is. And I've had this realization. The older I've gotten, the more of my father I have realized lives within me. And I'm like, oh, didn't expect that. That was a strange turn of events. But she has a lot in common with her father, like a lot. But she also doesn't want to have anything to do with him because of the hurt he caused in her family and the hurt he caused her as a child and the hurt he caused her sister. The fact that she has also chosen a creative outlet. So I was not exactly right. He's not an actor. He's a director. He's a writer and a director. He makes movies. She is entering a field that he is definitely familiar with, but she is going against the grain for what he likes and is comfortable with. She knows he's a movie guy, and she does exclusively like theater and television. She says, I was in a series. Like they talk about her having a series at one point.
I didn't even catch that, but yeah.
Yeah, so she is doing this work that she believes in, almost intentionally to antagonize him, but then she acts surprised when he doesn't come because he's like, I don't like that stuff. She intentionally picks a field where she's not going to have to deal with him. Like, that's a weird way to react, but it is when you're digging into the psychology of why you would choose that. You're interested in what your father does, but you don't want to be your dad. You don't want to follow in his footsteps in any way if you can help it.
And Betsy, that is a whole lot of words to just come right out and say, this is a character piece more than anything else. This is a movie in which you can analyze the motivations for everything. It's why it's probably getting a whole lot of buzz for actor nominations as well as just best picture and whatnot. There's so much happening here behind the eyes, and it's kind of I'm finding myself with a lack of words to describe how I'm feeling about the movie. I'm not saying that I'm absolutely loving the movie, but I love the fact that it got made. I love the fact that you're allowed to have this very tiny story with this family, these sisters, this other person who gets brought in with it being the Elle Fanning character. And even she recognizes that there's something deeper happening here, and I don't want to mess with that.
There's something I'm missing. That there is a critical part to this story that you're not letting me in. You're not giving me the critical information.
And she is asking all of the right questions. She is a talented actress. I also think that there's a little bit of commentary when it comes to her character, but we'll get to that in a little while. But even she is able to sniff out here, man, you had me dye my hair the same color as your daughter, and you're not letting me into your thought process when it comes to this character. You're not saying it's a mother. You're not saying it's anybody. It's just this character in this movie that you wrote.
You don't want me to do an accent, but you don't really want it to be in English, but
Yeah.
I'm going to stand out like a sore thumb. So she's trying to unpack it. She's really piecing it together, but doesn't know what piece she's missing. Whereas when his daughters read this script, all of a sudden they go, oh,
Everything starts to come together in their own minds.
Opened the book into the psyche of our father. He is just on the page expressing all of the things that he will never say to us out loud. He has written it down instead. And some people are like this. They don't know how to share, but they can articulate it through their art.
Yeah, and I think that's really something that I will never be able to understand. Now, the only piece of like art, quote unquote, that I've ever constructed is writing. I've written, I don't even know if you want to call it poetry, but I have written some stuff in my years a long, long time ago. So I can maybe pull on that string to have an understanding of where he's coming from. But I also know how to talk to people. I know how to, communicate feelings in less of metaphor and just writing prose. I can just talk to you like whatever. I'm just saying words here to Betsy. We're communicating back and forth. We talk all the time. I don't need to have it be all flowery and poetry-like. I just say what I mean.
Meanwhile, I often have difficulty expressing like true deep feelings. The way he is expressing, the thing he is trying to get across.
Yeah.
It's a big idea. It's a deep idea. It's something that has been weighing on him clearly for years.
I also think it's a little scary for him.
Absolutely.
Because I don't think that he's ever really confronted what happened with his mother all that much. Certainly not out in the open. But the fact that he married a psychologist kind of says a lot, don't you think?
And then he can't even really unpack why it didn't really work out and why he's got to leave.
The only thing he actually says here is that your mother, when he's talking to the daughter or daughters, your mother always needed to be right or was always right. And he didn't like that.
More likely, she was actually the one saying you need to confront your feelings and he didn't want to.
Well,
I feel like that's probably the more likely scenario.
You're right. What I'm saying is that is the only thing that he says in the movie relating to his wife.
And of course, she passes away before the movie begins.
Right.
The opening scene is her funeral.
Essentially, yeah.
So we don't know how she felt about things because she's not there to defend herself.
And kind of in that same vein here, we're also treated to like 3 or 4 different flashback scenes, it seems like, where there's a voiceover talking about the house and how the house feels about people being inside of it and whether or not there's like activity and noise happening in the house.
Well, if you remember, the very first thing was that is a essay. It's an essay that Nora wrote when she was in school. She was supposed to imagine herself as an inanimate object. and the story she wrote was about her house, her as the house, which is a really interesting way to set up the movie.
Yeah, because it also gives you the backstory about there has been a long line of people who have lived in this house and all of the different things that have happened to this family. And there was a death in this room followed by a birth in this same room.
And there's a flaw in the crack in the
Yeah.
house. The foundation is cracked and it goes all the way through the house.
And eventually the house will come down.
Yeah, it's a fucking metaphor right at the beginning of the movie.
I know. But you also see here Gustav, the father, leaving the mother at some point. You can see him leaving the house and the kids are witnessing what is happening. But this is really just Nora describing her feelings, and she's describing her feelings through what the house was observing. It's a way to confront your own trauma.
And this was another thing that they brought up where she acts, she doesn't write. Like, she literally says she found that when she was auditioning for things, she needed a piece that she could do. And she thought about reading that piece and she didn't like it. So she read something else instead. But her dad keeps telling her throughout the movie, you should write. You should write. And she's not gonna, because he's a writer.
Right.
Like, she just refuses to participate in anything he's doing.
It is the resentment that is separate and apart from the artistic endeavors that they both follow. Because she is so resentful of him leaving and not being there for them, she pushes everything that he was away and tries to return it back on herself, just the opposite.
And bringing it back to the house, they keep showing us different eras of the house. So like his mother, when she was there growing up and she was arrested by the Nazis. So she got taken away before he was ever born.
Yep.
And then when she died, his aunt took over the house. And then after that, he was her only heir. So he got the house. But the way they present this, it's sort of just like cut to black, hard cut. Who is this woman who we've never seen before?
Right.
Who is this other person having parties in the 1960s? Like, what's going on?
It's really hard to really point out when this is happening, other than the fact that the era looks a little bit different. The clothing choices are different. Then you see, I don't know, a fucking de-aged Stellan Skarsgård here. I don't know what the hell that was.
I don't think that was de-aged. I think that was probably footage from another movie he made in like the 80s, and they just took a little clip of it and put it in the movie because it looked
be cool.
It looked too perfect to be a de-aged Stellan Skarsgård.
Yeah, there was also a clip of him on like a talk show back in the 80s too.
I think they're just reusing footage, but the way they seamlessly edited it together was fabulous. It was absolutely great.
I mean, it helps that he's been acting a very long time.
They did also have clearly a body double, like a young man that they shot from behind with his haircut.
When he's working on the house after it comes to him. Yeah, obviously.
But yeah, the fact that the house is a core character of the story.
I like that.
They set it up right away. And yes, it feels like a metaphor, but they keep bringing all of these elements where we are hearing about this house and we're seeing people live in this house. And the very last thing we see is they're remodeling the house. They take every ounce of character and history and family heirlooms and tchotchkes, and they give it the fucking modern millennial gray, like marble countertops. It made me
Everything is so white.
They painted that beautiful black and red house white. They took all of the history, all of the character, they stripped it away, and they wiped the slate clean. And I hated it so much because you and I have talked about this at length. We love an old house. We love houses with character.
Yes.
That is the most, like, that is a crime, what you did to that house. I'm very sorry, but I get why at the end it happens, because this is the rebirth. This is where they finally understand their father understands them. They all get to this place that they can move on and start anew.
Yeah, it is about letting go. Again, sentimental value. The name of the movie is exactly what we were talking about here. Who cares about all the stuff in this house? Why are you clinging to this edifice of all of the bad history with this family, all of the sadness, and just, you can just even say memories, all of the memories. And this is why it's really hard for people when they have a death in the immediate family. It's really hard for the remaining family to live in the house where maybe an accident happened. Because there's just so many memories of that other person living there. Why would you want to remain in that same place?
And it's one of these houses that has been there for like 5 generations. It's just a part of this family in the way that any family member is. This is where we live. This is our house. Your great, great, great grandfather built this house. And it's hard to let shit like that go. But that's another really cool thing about the movie is we're trying to hand it off to the next generation, and the next generation doesn't want it. Like, we are
Yeah.
literally talking about his mother, who was arrested by Nazis and tortured, and he has never spoken about it.
Yep.
She obviously died before the girls were born because she killed herself when he was 7 years old. So he never really got at the core of what she went through and her experience, and she never talked about it, and then she killed herself.
Yeah.
And that was the trajectory. So he is a baby boomer who doesn't know about the trauma of his own mother. And so he just carries that own trauma with him and doesn't talk about it with his own kids.
Again, talking about generational trauma, this movie is kind of more about the separation of the generations. Now, the gals in the movie, the sisters, are about our age. And they have a father who is a baby boomer. So are our parents. So there's a lot of just generational differences here that we are never going to get over. My parents do things in a way that I will never do. Same thing with your parents.
And we don't understand it, but it's just how they are because it's how they were raised.
It's a way of communication, and the fact that our generation and generations that have followed have a much easier time communicating and just saying our feelings because we were taught kind of at an early age, you need to talk about your feelings.
Yeah, even if we're
Barney taught us about that.
Even if we aren't going to therapy. And the fact that their mother is a therapist,
I know.
It's again bringing it all back around. Like, you should be doing things a certain way, but you're just not gonna, by God.
And the goddamn baby boomer mindset of we're gonna pack all of our feelings down, and never fucking talk about them.
And then they don't understand why their kids get upset.
Yeah.
And even Nora, she wants her father to be at the performance, clearly, but she'll never say it.
Yep.
She'll never say out loud that she wanted him to be there, but she
And
acts
he gets the impression that she doesn't want him there.
and he takes it at face value. She doesn't want me there, so
Right.
I'm just not going to go.
Damn it.
All of this lack of communication and lack of understanding has led to everybody having a really fucked up childhood, and you don't understand why. It takes him almost dying for them to actually like start mending these fences and bridging these gaps that they have.
I thought there was gonna be some kind of reconciliation at the kid's birthday party because you see them both going outside. Or even before that, he goes up to her and he sees her at the party as she's coming in. And I said while we were watching it, well, no affection for her. You're giving affection to everybody else in that room except her. But then he does go over there and give her like a half a hug.
You also have to read the room, and I think he kind of knows there's sort of a wall there.
Sure.
So he wants to hug her, but also he knows she doesn't really want to be hugged, but also she
Right.
kind of wants to be hugged.
But as I mentioned, they go outside, they have a cigarette together. They don't say a fucking word. But there's some kind of there's a smile there.
There's a
They're
recognition.
sharing something.
Yeah, there's a recognition that of all the scenes in the movie, this feels like the most where they recognize each other.
Yeah.
They see that they're the same. The two of them just smoking a cigarette silently.
But then the nighttime when he's got a few drinks in him and he just starts spouting off at the mouth.
Oh, he gets to be such an asshole.
Yeah, he gets to be the fucking baby boomer who is complaining about the young people. You guys aren't having any children. You'll never regret ever having children. You guys are the best things to ever happen to me. Well, you don't fucking show it, do you? You left us by ourselves to take care of ourselves and our mother, your ex-wife, and you just show up out of nowhere expecting things to be how you want them to be. Well, man, you need to confront what it is that you did to us. And then he says, well, you two girls turned out just fine.
Just sort of laughs it off.
You haven't fucking seen us. We're maybe even putting on an act in front of you because we're amongst, mixed company.
And meanwhile, we, the viewer, have been watching Nora be really fucked up this whole movie.
And there is just this underlying simmer of depression when it comes to Nora. They don't really come out and say it except for once. When Nora is over hanging out with her nephew down in the basement, she comes up and is really happy about things, but then something kind of comes over her, and her sister and the husband kind of notice it.
This glimmer of sadness.
Yeah.
Identifiable.
As she's leaving, Agnes is asking Nora, are you okay? Are you okay? She's being very insistent about that. And Nora says, yes, everything's fine. Everything's fine. I'm leaving now. Goodbye. And normally in a movie, that would be the end of the scene. But Agnes comes back over, and the husband says something. I cannot remember exactly what he says, but he refers to something that maybe has happened in the past. Like, is this like before? Is she acting in the same way as she did when it happened?
When it was the worst.
Don't talk about what happened until that sister scene.
Yeah. And she even says, does he know about that? Does he know I tried to kill myself?
Right.
And she says, no. They've kept it between like the three of them. Basically, they're the only ones who know that that even happened. And somehow he can still look at his daughter and he sees it. Even if he doesn't know definitively, he can recognize the sadness in her because it's in himself. He's clearly got some problems. Even if he says the whole movie, it's not about my mother. We're not going to talk about my mother. He doesn't want to talk about her. Like when he talks about her, he makes a joke. It's so dark. He says, yeah, it supported her weight. She did it right in this room on that stool.
This is the stool. But in reality, it's just like a $10 stool from IKEA.
But he's so casual about saying, my mother hung herself in this room.
Yeah. And Elle Fanning just gets up from it really in a start saying, oh my God, I can't believe that. I mean, she didn't say this, but I can't believe this is the stool. This is the room in where
She's
it happened.
Shocked, yeah.
Yeah, why would you do that? And he's just very callous about it, really. He's kind of having his own joke internally, and even it is kind of a joke even with the daughters.
Oh yeah, even the daughters think it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Like there's a dark streak of humor in this movie.
Which I appreciate.
But it's kind of unexpected, and I think not everybody is going to appreciate that kind of humor where you're just so casual about really dark topics and really dark trauma of your life. But some people, that's the way they deal with it. They make it funny to them because they would rather laugh than cry.
Absolutely. And it's those people who have kind of gone through it together who understand that. But the fact that he would do that with a stranger.
Oh, yeah. He barely knows this woman.
Yeah.
She's a famous actress. And he's just like, I'm just going to fuck with her to get her motivated.
Yeah, that is definitely something that I appreciated about this. There is some humor here amongst all of the let's just say hard topics.
And we have many more topics that we are going to cover about sentimental value. But first, we're going to take a break for a word from our sponsor, and we'll be right back. What's the matter, Billy? You look bored just sitting there clicking that pen.
Well, Becky, I've already listened to this week's episode of Never Seen It, and there's nothing left for me to do. Guess I'll just sit here and click this pen until next Sunday.
Wait, Billy. What if I told you that the Never Seen It crew puts out 4 other shows every month?
4 shows? How do I get those?
It's easy. Just go to patreon.com/neverseenitpod, and for $5 per month, you get access to all their extra content.
Wow, that sounds a whole lot better than clicking this pen.
It sure does, Billy. It sure does. So speaking of motivating actresses, I want to talk about the opening scene of the movie where Nora is on the stage. Well, excuse me. She's in her dressing room and refuses to go on the stage because she's kind of having a meltdown, kind of having a panic attack.
Creating all sorts of different excuses to not move from her spot. I need water. I need to adjust my dress. I need to do this.
It's too
I need
tight.
to do that.
Someone kiss me. Someone fuck me. Someone slap me. I can't go out there. And she talks about being an actress throughout the movie and how it's like a terrifying experience. And she's like, I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah, there's an entire sequence here. It's kind of like a montage of her talking about not her process, but just the feelings that she has when she's about to go on stage. And it's terrifying and I hate it, but I love it.
She also talks about how she kind of wants to be somebody else. Like she
Yeah.
loves the act of acting because she doesn't have to be herself for a little while. But then you also see the way she kind of crashes out after she does it. So
Sure.
she puts kind of everything she's got into this character, and then she's not even going on stage tomorrow. She's fucking done.
Yeah, the thing that I wrote down was she talks about escaping into acting and being someone else. So, and she's also talking to her sister about this, right? And the sister also kind of notices while she's saying it and how she's saying it that, hey, maybe that's kind of a cry for help. You don't want to be yourself. You don't want to be somebody else. Maybe you should address that.
She's like, no, I'm fine. It's fine. Bury it deep inside.
When we have the scene later when she goes out there, does the performance, the dad doesn't come. She ends up in this depressive trance, is how I described it, where presumably she calls her director to say, hey, I know this is a huge faux pas of me to cancel my next performance. And I know that I have performed sick before, but this is something that I cannot just get over before the next performance.
It's not possible. I'm not going to make it.
Yeah. And we then see her just again go through this depressive state where she ends up just on the floor being numb, just not blinking, not looking at anything, just completely catatonic, basically. And she's kind of in this state for likely days, if not weeks, because when the sister comes over there, she's just sitting at her kitchen table watching a television show or just watching something on her laptop, not really interacting with her sister, just kind of saying single word answers to her questions. And her apartment is just completely disheveled. She's got garbage everywhere. There's clothes everywhere.
She hit the I don't care phase of her depression.
Yeah. And it takes her sister coming over there to have that scene with her that we keep on referring to here. And they just have this bonding moment. Now, again, we don't see a whole lot of their childhood life here in flashback, but they talk about, the younger one saying, hey, I know I didn't have my mom, I didn't have my dad, but I had you. You were the person who took care of me. You bathed me, you brushed my hair, you did everything that I needed, but you needed something too.
Yeah, and Agnes even expresses, like, they say, oh, she's the normal one, but she has her own version of this trauma. There's this cut to a movie. We're like, what is with these kids running through a
Right.
field and she's getting on a train and there's crying? What is this? Well, they're doing a retrospective of his films. And we find out that when Agnes was a little girl, she was one of the characters in his movie.
Yeah, and Gustav says, I put my family, I put my friends into my movies.
And when she talks about that experience to her dad, she says, I loved being the center of your world. It was the most attention I ever got from you by being in that movie. And then it was over and I didn't have it anymore. And that messed me up.
Yeah.
So this is the dynamic that they have in this family where it's just like feast or famine. You get all of the attention or you get none of the attention.
Which is why I think he is hurt when she says no. He wrote this entire script and it's already got funding. It's gonna get made. But he says, I wrote this whole thing. This part is for you. She doesn't even know what the hell
Nora.
it is. Yeah. For Nora, excuse me. And the fact that she just gets up and leaves. Because again, it's the whole idea of how dare you just show up out of nowhere. Yes, of course, their mother died and that's an excuse for him to infect their world again. But you can't just come into our lives, expect everything to be okay, and me just to say, yeah, sure, I'll just do this thing. It's probably going to help my career, but I can't do it. I just can't do it. Not with you.
You haven't earned the right to spend time with me, basically. I don't care if you're this genius. Like she willingly says he's a great director.
Sure.
She acknowledges he has talent to the other actress when asked, but she doesn't want to be a part of it. It's not for her. Even without knowing what the project is, she's like, oh, fuck no. And Agnes isn't asked to be a part of it, but he wants her son to play the little boy in the movie. And even she kind of says yes, but then backtracks a little bit.
Right. Did you also get here the fact that Agnes was maybe a little bit more accepting of the father coming back into the life and is certainly less resentful of his existence.
She's trying to let him be a part of her son's life. She's trying. I don't know that she's like wildly thrilled
She's
about
not
him showing up.
Yeah, she's not
No.
forgiving him. And she even has that one scene where she's throwing everything back in his face, saying, no, I don't want you coming around to tell my son that he's going to be in a fucking movie. No, you talk to me. I'm the mother.
And I don't want you to do to him what you did to me, where you give him all this attention and you praise him and you love him, and then you fuck off and don't see him for years.
That's going to fuck up a kid.
Yeah. But that scene that the two girls have together, that's where they kind of find out, you know what, we always had each other.
Yeah.
Regardless of what happened with our parents, regardless of everything else, you matter to me and I love you. And yeah, it's an emotional scene.
After Agnes, she's up all night reading the script because something in there just caught her. And with her going over to give it to Nora and say, just read this one passage and you'll be hooked. And she was. And I think right there, that is they're giving each other permission to forgive him to a point. They're giving each other permission to go along with what he is trying to do, because clearly he is really trying something in his own way.
And after he almost dies, he fucking has a heart attack or something. They find him on his front lawn.
Yeah.
He survives, and Nora agrees to do the movie. And she just gets it. And the two of them have that look at the end of the movie where they're not hugging, they're not really warm with each other, but they again share that look like, I get it. I get you, you get me. And we're making progress. We're moving forward with our lives.
Yeah, and however long his life is going to be, because I think both of them would really kick themselves if they didn't give it a shot.
Yeah, at least give it a chance, which is why it's corresponding with what's going on in the house.
Yeah.
And with that whole thing.
Man.
Yeah, it's a really, really well-made movie. And I want to talk a little bit more about the acting in it, because we've talked about all of the scenes that we like, but we haven't really talked about the people specifically. So Nora is played by Renate Reinsve, and she, like I said, has worked with this director before, but this is the first thing I've ever seen her in. She's very, very good. She got nominated for Best Actress at the Golden Globes. Actually, all four people, the three women and Stellan Skarsgård, are all up for Golden Globes. Plus, I'm sure many other acting awards. But what did you think of her in the movie overall?
I mean, clearly there's a whole lot of unspoken things that you have to do as an actor. The trick is letting the audience know what it is that you're feeling without actually saying the words. So with that metric, she knocked it out of the fucking park, because clearly there's a whole lot happening here, just in her mind, in her past. She can't really talk about it with her even sister. Not right away anyway, and she really has nobody else to talk to other than her sister, which is why they hang out all the time. But I definitely felt the anxiety that was welling up in her, not just in the beginning scene where she's not wanting to go on stage and she's just fighting everybody around her, and that was
it
was a really, really chaotic scene, and I very much enjoyed it. Not to mention the point where she's dragging this guy way backstage to say, hey, we got time, let's go.
20 seconds, just fuck me real quick.
Instead, just slap me. And, eventually we do see them in bed together, and we find out more information about him too. Like, he's married, he's having an affair with her, and presumably they keep on fucking. There's no relationship there, but I think she wants there to be because it's a convenience thing.
But when she finds out he's getting a divorce, first of all, he didn't tell her.
Right.
Because he doesn't want him to be weird. He's like, no, she doesn't know about us.
It's brought up in their kind of production meeting out on the beach or wherever the fuck it is.
A friend group from work.
Yeah. But she stays behind afterwards to say, I'm here for you, and she starts to touch his hand and whatnot,
and kiss him and stuff.
And yeah, when they're going down the path, she tries to kiss him, and he pushes her away.
We don't have to hide anymore, she says.
Yeah, which is why I thought that this was an ongoing thing, that it wasn't just a one night thing.
Right.
But even in that same scene when we see the afterglow, she talks about the fact that she has a hard time with intimacy. And again, it's going back to the fact that she didn't have her parents there to console her, to hug her, to lay affection on her. So she has a hard time accepting it from other people.
But yeah, as far as like how she's portraying all of this in the movie, I think she's very, very good. Like she is able to do a lot with her face, a lot with the eyes, but also she has to be really angry, but internal angry. It's inside angry.
Yeah. So here's a question here. As long as we're talking about her, there's a scene here where it's after they have their little fight and she's walking outside and she's upset. Then we see her go through a door and it looks like she's on stage, which she is on stage. What was that whole transition there? What was that?
There is a lot of artistic things in this movie. Like there's also the one where it's the two girls and their father and their faces are intermixed. Like we're just kind of panning around them. The light is shifting and it's changing from Nora to Agnes to him.
My thoughts here is that she is using whatever the sadness is in her art, in her acting.
Yeah.
She's drawing upon that sadness in order to cry on command, essentially, when she is on stage.
She's using it even if she's pretending not to. She's pretending to be other people. No, that's coming from a real place. And she's like, no, it's fine. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the sister. I'm going to take a stab at this name because it's extremely Norwegian.
Go for it, Betsy.
Inga Ilbsdottir Lilius.
Perfect.
Give
No
or
notes.
take. So again, first thing I've ever seen her in. She's also nominated for a Golden Globe. And she's doing a very different thing in this movie because she has to hold it together. She's the one that doesn't have the luxury of being dramatic and acting and all that.
She has a family.
Yeah. She has to hold it together for the rest of the people in this family and her own family.
And there's even a moment here when she's finally confronting her father. The kid walks in and she's like, oh yeah, Grandpa was just leaving and doesn't want to continue the argument in front of the kid, where he did not follow that same kind of advice. He would be fighting with his wife in front of the other kids, loudly.
There was kind of a moment where when they show her reading the script, I was like, is she gonna do it?
That's what I thought.
Because she has experience in acting, but she instead goes to her sister and says, you should really read this because it's about you.
Yeah, it's for you too.
Yeah, it's not about me. It's strictly him trying to reach out to you, and I think you should read it. And she does that a few times where she's trying to be the bridge between different people in the movie. She's trying to be the peacekeeper. She's trying to be the grown-up.
Yeah.
And she's the only one who actually has a curiosity about her grandmother. There's this scene where she goes to like the public records.
Right.
And she says, I want to know everything about this woman.
Because that's kind of her job too.
Yeah,
Which is what her career is.
And she's not going to find out through her father. He's never going to talk about it.
Yeah, and it's not really a big part of the movie. It's not really important.
It's important
but
to her, though.
It is important to her, and I think it's also giving context for the trauma that has existed in the family for generations. But from like a filmmaking perspective, I don't think it needs to be there. But again, it just gives extra context.
Someone has to care about this unanswered question of the movie, because the thing that we've been presented with through Rachel is talk about your mother, talk about your mother. He won't talk about his mother. And so she finally gets curious because she also wants to know, because this is a piece of my family. This is a piece of history. This is something no one has ever told me about. And she's really affected by it. But it takes her looking into that to understand when she reads the script that it isn't about that. I think that's what that scene is there for, Trent.
Okay.
It's because she can read the script and then go, oh no, it's not about what she went through. It's about you. Because she has that extra piece of information no one else has.
All right. I agree with that. But what about Elle Fanning here? What were your thoughts about her? Because we haven't seen a whole lot from her, except last year she was in that biopic movie.
Oh, she was in the Bob Dylan movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Elle Fanning is a great actress. She's very, very good in this movie. She has the difficult task that she's on the outside looking in, and she doesn't know that she's in that position. But the deeper she is digging, trying to find who it is she's being asked to play, the more lost she is becoming. And there's a great scene where she just tells him this and she says, I've been trying to find this. And the more I ask questions, the farther away I feel like I'm getting. And as an actress, that's really frustrating.
Yeah, and as I was saying before about her as the character, she does her due diligence here by asking all these questions about the character from the writer and director himself. And clearly, she's got an inkling of what's going on here. Because after she isn't getting any answers from him, she goes to the daughter. She goes to Nora directly because she knows that Nora was asked to do the role and she said no.
And she needs to understand why.
Right.
She's here for the why. Like literally her entire purpose in this movie is why. Someone needs to explain something in this situation.
But kind of back out a little bit here. What is the filmmaker here of this movie? What is the filmmaker here really saying about this actress in this world? Because she's a young up-and-coming actress who has studios lining up to try to cast her in something. She's got all sorts of different projects lined up, but she chooses to do this artsy film in Norway, of all places.
With a director she admires.
Yeah. It honestly reminded me of the Scarlett Johansson movie we covered for our Weird Movies series, Under the Skin, where Scarlett Johansson was a really, really big name. Why the hell are you signed on to this European weird-ass movie?
Very, very independent movie.
Right.
About an alien succubus.
Exactly. How the hell are you in this one movie? You're the only name in it. It's super weird. How the hell did that even come together? I was reminded of that movie when it comes to this actress.
Thank you for clarifying that you mean the experience of making the movie and not the movie itself, because I was like, how in the hell is this movie like Under the Skin?
Think about her career, though.
Yes, but you understand my confusion for a moment because you said in that movie, and I'm like, what?
Okay, whatever.
Sorry, no, I was just making a joke, Trent. It was funny. Yeah, sometimes those things happen. It's just, maybe it's art reflecting life again. Maybe Elle Fanning actually wanted to work with Joachim Trier. I don't know his filmography, but he is somebody that is starting to be recognized by a larger group of film fans. And she is an up-and-coming actress. So it is sort of a representation of her
and I'm not
experiencing
saying,
this from his perspective.
Yeah, and I'm not saying anything about Elle Fanning. I'm talking about the actress in the movie, the character.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's... A lot of this movie is intertwining. It's meta. It's life-reflecting art, etc.
I know. But I feel like the existence of this character not only is the catalyst to bring the family together, but it is also a commentary about like modern actors, because she has got all of these hangers on, her agent, her quote unquote friends,
her entourage.
Her entourage is around her constantly, but she wants to be a serious actress, not just somebody who is going to be in the big blockbusters, not just somebody who's going to be pretty on screen and make a whole bunch of money. She wants to be an actor. And how do you do that? You talk to somebody who's been there. And on the beach when they're having their conversation, the guy says, fuck your agent. Who the fuck cares? If you're in demand, they're going to let you do whatever you want.
You do hold some power in this situation.
Right, because everybody else just wants to ride your coattails onto whatever success that you're going to have, however long that's going to be.
But another reason she's in the movie is to point out that she shouldn't be here. She's literally there to say, this feels wrong.
Yeah,
this is wrong,
There's
right?
even some scenes here where Nora is like going up that escalator and you can see the Elle Fanning character in an advertisement for fucking like perfume or something, showing the contrast between this is a movie star doing this very, very personal movie and the person it's really about. It just doesn't fit.
Yeah, and he's got the wrong actress. It's in the wrong language. He wanted this specific guy to be his DP, but then he sees him. He has a meeting, and he's so old. And then he gets freaked out, and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to blame it on Netflix because they're funding the movie, and they want to do it a different way." So he's even holding back on his own project.
Yeah.
But that's the guy who tells him, or no, it's the guy who is funding his movie, Michael,
The producer.
the producer. He says, This is the closest you've gotten. You've danced around these topics in your other movies.
Yeah.
You're about to confront it head on, and you cannot hold back. You cannot hold back. And by having Elle Fanning in the movie, by having that actress playing this, that's him holding back. And she feels it, which is why she says, I don't want to disappoint you. If you really want me in this movie, I'll do it.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'm right for it.
It is as important as anything that he has ever done. He just doesn't know how to do it. It's taken him so long in order to get up the gumption to write it down. He finally does, and he hits a roadblock because he hasn't mended the fences. But all the people around him that he normally involves in making the movies that he makes, they've all gotten old. It's almost too late. So you have to do this now.
Since we're here, let's talk about the final actor that we knew was in this movie, Stellan Skarsgård.
Yeah.
There is a lot of chatter that he could be a front runner for Best Supporting Actor at the Academy Awards. And I wouldn't be upset to see him there because he is a very complicated character in this movie. You can tell this guy has a lot of regrets, and it mostly comes out when he's drunk. He picks bad moments to feel regret about his life.
But you know what? That is him trying. He is trying to reach out to his daughter in whatever way that he is allowing himself to do it. It's just in a really poor way. Because she even calls him out saying, the only time you ever fucking contact me is when you're drunk. And whatever it is coming out of your mouth, I probably can't even understand half of it.
And we've addressed it many times in this episode. He's kind of an asshole. He just says what he's thinking out loud, regardless of how that will reflect on him and the feelings of the people around him. He keeps misinterpreting situations. He doesn't really acknowledge the times that he's made faux pas, the times that he has been absent and doesn't realize they're mad about it. He doesn't even look around and notice it. But he also has a lot of shit from his own life that he hasn't unpacked yet. And this is all the culmination. This is his moment. Like you said, it's his final chance to get things right.
Which is why I think he feels so dejected after Elle Fanning comes over and says what she says. I don't think that I'm right for this part. She's being very, very honest. And he even says, you know what? You could have just told your agent to contact me that you were out, but you came here. And I think that's really what he should have been doing all this time. He should have been mentoring younger filmmakers or younger actors, younger directors, instead of just stewing about what it is that he can't communicate.
But the problem is when he's mentoring these other people, he's basically being a father to them in a way.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know how to do that with his own daughters. But he says, oh, you two are the best thing that ever happened to me. And they're like, fuck you, dude. You weren't even here.
Right.
How can we be the best thing that happened when you don't know what this experience even has been?
But back to that scene where she comes in there. He tells her, you're a really good person for doing this. You know, you're a great actress. And I meant what I said. He closes the door and he's just left there by himself. We see the camera outside. He's in there doddering around, just walking around in this empty house. And you maybe think to yourself, I know I did, that, oh God, what is he going to do in there by himself? But instead he says, fuck that. I'm not going to do that. He goes outside and is just outside.
But he also flips off the house. Like even he has this moment where he is just sitting there. We see a shot from the inside of the house looking out at him in the backyard and he's drinking and he flips the house the bird. He just does that. And that's when he has his heart attack. It's like the closest catharsis to the house that he has. He flips it off.
It's kind of going back to the very, very beginning when we're reading the essay about the house being a thing, being a person.
So let me ask you that. You asked a question at the end of the movie. There is a narrator in this movie.
Yeah.
Do you believe that narrator to be the house? Or who do you think that narrator is supposed to be?
Well, it's probably two different entities at least, because the beginning, when we're reading the story about the house, that can't be the house. By the end of the movie, though, my interpretation was that it was Agnes. It was like an older Agnes reflecting back on the life of the family. I'm probably wrong, but that was my idea.
Why can't it be the house? because
It absolutely could
the
be.
house is absolutely a character in this movie.
It is. And maybe because it is played by an older actress.
Right. And it's the thing of if these walls could talk, Trent.
Yeah. I think that is a really good interpretation. I'm not disagreeing with any of it. I just don't know.
Yeah, because it could be her. It could be their mother. It could be the grandmother who killed herself. It could be a lot of people because they show a lot of different women specifically who have lived in this house and had very deep experiences, good, bad, and everything in between. But because they set up the movie where they're saying, does this house have feelings? And they go very in depth about the house and they keep bringing it back. That feels like the most logical explanation for
You're
the
probably
narrator.
right. You're probably right. But again, this is just me watching the movie for the first time. That was what I was thinking about at the time.
Fair enough. Well, Trent, do you have any other moments or things you wanted to talk about before we wrap up this episode?
Gustav has been single for so fucking long, he doesn't know how to clean up a spill. When he puts the whole roll of paper towels underneath the running sink in order to clean up his spilled wine.
That's a dude move if
Oh
ever
my
I've seen
God.
one.
I laughed really hard at that.
But that's another reason these two are so similar. Like, they're both lonely. He
Yeah.
is alone. His daughter is alone. They're kind of the same person.
And it's really not something in the movie, but there's a lot of talk about Nepo babies and the fact that the daughter here, Nora, could be riding the coattails of her father and getting all the roles and getting access to the best agents or the best casting director, whatever it happens to be a bigger name in the world of acting, in the world of art. It seems to me she's choosing not to do that.
It's what I said. She is like rejecting all the things that her dad is about to be her own person.
But even outside of that, what must it be like to be the child of a very famous person? And you are also kind of in the same world, the same career path, whatever it happens to be. How weird would that be, especially if you are actively refusing any kind of help from your more famous father?
Trent, we literally just did an episode for our Patreon about my experience as a performer. And one
Yes,
of
we
the
did.
things I talked about is my parents were performers. My grandparents were performers. And as somebody who is kind of in this world, you want to be in it. You want to be as good as your parents, but you also want to be better than your parents. It is a complicated feeling, especially when you are a performer the way that this woman is and what she has seen her dad do. You want to do that. You want them to be proud of you, but also you're just like, but I want to do it more. In her case, she's like, fuck everything he thinks. I don't care what he thinks. I want to do it my own way.
But she cares so deeply.
She can't help but care. That's the thing, and that's how I feel. You can't help but care. I want my parents to come to my shows. I want them to be proud of me. I want to do a good job because I don't want them to be disappointed.
But your folks are not going to have a whole bunch of French people coming to your
No.
retrospective.
No, no. And, unlike her, my parents show up and they're supportive.
Of course,
So,
of
we
course.
have a very different experience, but the desire is still there, regardless of how complicated those feelings are.
Yeah. I'm kind of talking outside of the movie. It's more, we as a society are very dismissive of what we would call a Nepo baby, for good and bad. Like, I can see both sides of that. I can see how if you really want to do it and you're not trying to use your parents as a crutch, as it were, I can respect that. But at the same time, it probably helped you out a little bit just by having their fucking name. But anyway, no, that is all I really had to say about Sentimental Value. Did you want to say anything more about Oscar stuff here now?
Yeah, because we said it in the intro. There's sort of a short list of movies that are in the international category that are kind of primed to make the leap to be nominated for Best Picture. And this is one of them.
This is probably the top one, from what I'm seeing anyway.
I think it has a very good shot of getting in there because it's a very moving family story.
And I know we mentioned it in the intro that, this is a movie about Hollywood. Not really.
It is tangentially related because it's about a filmmaker, but it's also, as we said, it's very deep. There's a lot of layers to this. I think it's enough of a construction that you can't help but at least look at it and recognize, okay, you have done some work here. So it's going to be for things like screenplay. It's going to be
screenplay is almost assured.
It's going to be Stellan Skarsgård. If anybody's going to get nominated, it'll be him, simply by the fact that he is one of those respected elder statesman actors who I don't think he's ever been nominated. And this is the time of your life where you start getting these kinds of nominations if you haven't.
Yeah, I can't remember if he had or not. One thing, though, I did remember the first thing I ever saw Stellan Skarsgård act in as a dramatic role was Good Will Hunting. And I think people kind of forget that he's even in that movie.
He gets a little overshadowed by some bigger performances, but he's also very good. And yeah, I just looked it up. He has not been nominated for an Academy Award.
All right, then.
But he's a very, very good actor, and it feels like his time, as they say.
Remains to be seen. We have a lot more movies we have to really consider here, but I think you're right. He's probably going to get nominated. I would also say The Two Sisters, one for lead, one for supporting. I think very good chance of those two.
There's also a lot of people saying Elle Fanning could get in there too. Like if they got all 4 nominated for Golden Globes, it's not that big a leap to say they could get nominated for Oscars.
I suppose.
But it does get increasingly difficult to get multiple people in the category.
You're right. And we always say Golden Globes is very much a international voting block. So the fact that those 3 got it plus Elle Fanning, I just doubt that all of them are going to get in there. If they do, great. I got no problem with it. I have no problem with Elle Fanning being nominated for this because she didn't get nominated for A Complete Unknown. I thought she was better than the other actress from A Complete Unknown that did get nominated. That's my opinion.
And then if we're talking about all those things, potentially Best Director, but when you have 10 Best Picture nominees, up to 10, you can only have 5 directors. It's kind of a crapshoot.
Yeah, would you even say cinematography here? Because there are some interesting shots here, especially when they're filming the scene at the very, very end.
Honestly, the one I was thinking was editing, because the editing is there's a lot of cut to black, very abrupt changes in the movie.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of, like you said, she's walking down the street and then she's on stage, or we're in one part of the theater and then we're in a different part of the theater.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought about editing.
We're
Yeah, you're
suddenly
right.
looking at a completely different scene in a different time era, and first you're confused, but then it makes sense in a second. And they do that a lot, where you're just like thrown into a scene that doesn't make sense, but then about 30 seconds later it does. And it really does affect the flow of the movie, but it's in an interesting way and not in a I don't like this kind of way.
Yeah, editing I wouldn't have even thought about. So yeah, that would be one of them. I can't really think of anything else off the top of my head. I hope it does get nominated for Best Picture because I think more people need to see it.
It's a very, very good movie. It was very interesting. Like the way that you were saying you weren't sure at the beginning, there's like a certain moment where it sort of creeps up on you and all of a sudden you're like completely captivated. This movie's over 2 hours long.
I got bought in like over an hour in.
Yeah, this movie is over 2 hours long and I was never bored with it.
No, and I think that's a testament to the great actors on screen. They keep my attention. Also, I have to pay attention because there's subtitles on screen.
It's always weird when they switch back and forth between languages and suddenly they're speaking English and I find myself still reading the subtitles. It's like, I don't need to do that right now.
Yeah, I would say maybe 10 to 15% is in English and the rest is Norwegian. This is not Swedish.
I didn't know that, but they are very tactful how they tie in the Swedish element because their father is Swedish. So with him, they speak Swedish, I assume, but I don't honestly know listening to it if I'm listening to Norwegian or listening to Swedish, except when they kept saying tusen tack, which means 1,000 thanks. I only know this because someone I used to work with would always say "Mange tusen takk," which means many thousand thanks, because he was Norwegian.
All right, there you go.
And I guess, of course, the other thing that we didn't mention for Oscars, international picture. That's the most obvious one.
Well, and again, we're going to have to maybe watch more of these if indeed more get nominated. So I think this is going to be the one international movie that we are covering before the Oscar nominations actually come out. If there's more, obviously we're going to cover those, but we're making a leap here. Also, we really wanted to watch this movie, but we did make a leap to assume that this one will get nominated.
I feel like of the three, this one feels like the most sure thing. With the other two, it's kind of a coin toss. So you might get one. Getting both is a little bit harder, but which one's it going to be? I guess we'll have to wait a few more weeks to find out. But with that, that's going to do it for Sentimental Value. Do you think this movie is going to make the cut for the Best Picture nominees from 2025? Did you like this one? Who is the narrator? Tell us your interpretation. Send us your thoughts to neverseenapod@gmail.com. We have a couple of messages here about a recent movie we did, the last one from 2025, when we watched K-pop Demon Hunters. So we had our friend Blake reach out to us because, of course, he has kids, so this is a movie that has been on in his house. He says, I have half watched K-pop Demon Hunters 1,000 times since its released. Listen to the songs even more than that. My daughters have asked for K-pop Demon Hunters themed birthday parties and even have movie-related toys coming for Christmas. I have found myself singing or humming Gonna Be Golden so many times since the movie's release. We saw the movie when the sing-along version played at our local repertory theater. Whenever my girls are mad at me for whatever reason, they refer to me as a Saja boy.
Okay.
To say that the movie has penetrated our household's cultural zeitgeist would be an understatement. We also got a message about K-pop Demon Hunters from our superfan Stephanie.
She being one of them who suggested that we even covered the movie in the first place.
She says, as a mom, I have seen this movie about 40 times.
Okay.
I'm sensing a theme.
All right, Stephanie, you need to pump those numbers up. If Blake has seen it, halfway through 1,000 times,
Yeah.
Come on.
Rookie numbers, Stephanie. My daughter and I love it. The music is great and the message is good. The animation is fun. I'm not an anime person. I legit hate Spirited Away, but the combo animation style didn't bother me. My favorite song from the soundtrack is What It Sounds Like. That scene made me cry too, Betsy. This movie is so popular. There were 3 roomies in my daughter's class alone for Halloween. That is 3 out of 19 kids who were roomie. Plus, there were a lot of Zoes and Miras, and our neighborhood girl went as the cat. Last month, my daughter went to a K-pop Demon Hunters dance camp. It was adorable. I teach preschool, and when we ask what their favorite song is, half of them either say Golden or Soda Pop. This movie is indeed everywhere.
That's a really quick turnaround to have a dance camp right away after the movie comes out. I know it just happened earlier this year, but still.
Trent, people know what the kids like, and they will try to cash in on that as fast as possible.
Oh, yeah.
FYI, they are making a sequel set to come out in 2029, which seems like a very long time for kids to wait. Yeah, we said when we watched it that there should be a sequel.
Yeah, there's got to be a sequel greenlit already.
But we didn't know that at the time, and now we know that.
All right. But of course, this studio being kind of notorious for delaying their movies, it's not surprising that it's 2029, but you would think that you would maybe get some outside help to try to boost that up a little bit.
Yeah, 3 years for kids, really 4 by the time it comes out.
4, yeah.
It's a long time. These kids are going to be so much older, and who the heck knows what they'll be into. So you got to hope that they remember the K-pop Demon Hunters by the time you get it out.
Like I said, they should make a video game.
Keep the zeitgeist going.
Yep.
With something at least.
Yep.
She finishes the email because we got this around Christmas time. We have been watching tons of Christmas movies lately, getting in the holiday spirit with classics and Christmas horror alike. Love you guys from Superfan Stephanie.
Thank you, Stephanie. And Blake.
Yeah, Blake was also very excited when he found out we were going to be watching this movie because I think every person we know who has kids has been watching this movie on repeat for the last 6 months or however long it's been since it came out. So I'm glad we finally did it. I don't think we're going to have any kind of numbers close to 1,000 or even 40, but you know what? I could see us putting that movie on again.
I think so. If you listen to that episode, I was a little apprehensive about going into it, but I did have that one connection with that other thing I mentioned. Go and listen to that episode. Let's just say I was wrong in my assessment. that movie's great.
But thank you again to both of you for reaching out. If you'd like to send us a message about K-pop demon hunters, we'll have one every week for the rest of time, probably. Email again, neverseenitpod@gmail.com. You could also reach out on any of our social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky. Send us a message on any of those platforms if email is not your thing. And since it's a new year, I'm going to ask you to do the thing that one should ask once in a while. Go to wherever you're listening to this podcast, rate and review us, give us 5 stars, tell us how much you love us. It's a new year and we're a new me. Is that how that phrase goes?
Sure, why not?
Something to that effect. But doing that really does help us, gets us in front of more people, and, just tell your friends about us. That's what you can do to help out the show in 2026.
I'm going to have a really hard time saying 2026.
Got to get used to it, Trent.
I know.
Wrap your mouth around it.
I keep writing 2025 on my checks. Does that reference make me sound even older than what I actually am?
Yes. When was the last time you actually wrote a check, you old
don't
man?
remember. I don't write checks anymore.
I got a check from my parents recently, and they wrote my maiden name on it.
It still worked, though.
It still worked. I still was able to cash it. But if you want to talk about people who don't write checks anymore.
I know. And just older folks in general, they don't trust the Venmo stuff. They don't trust Zelle. They don't trust any of the app-based money transfer systems. I had a little bit of apprehension at first, but I've gotten used to it. It's fine. What I don't understand are the people who leave their transaction history fucking public. It's wild to me that people don't know that.
It's because it's so fast once you set it up that you never really think about it
I
again.
know,
Unless someone tells you.
Yeah.
But that's going to do it. To bring it back to the episode, we've gone off topic once again. That's going to do it for Sentimental Value. We are in a new year, though, Trent. We've got lots more movies to cover in 2026. What will we be doing next week?
You know that guy who was in A Complete Unknown last year?
The movie that Elle Fanning was in.
The movie that we kept on referring to in this episode. Well, that guy has a brand new movie out, and I think it's also going to get nominated for Best Picture. So, Betsy, we're going to go and see Marty Supreme, starring the one and only Timothée Chalamet.
So come back next week for that episode. Until then, thank you for listening. My name is Betsy.
My name is Trent.
And we'll see you then.